What's up guys, Tom here from Metalloud, and welcome to part 1 of the Every Time I Die review series. This time we're taking a look at their first album, 2001's Last Night in Town. So Last Night in Town came out in 2001 and really didn't do great. It didn't really propel them in the scene in any way. Kind of got their name out there definitely, but their breakout was kind of their follow-up. And there's a lot of reasons why. This album is very, very rough. It's very low production value on here. Everything kind of feels mashed together. There's just so much going on at times, and even though Every Time I Die that we know today is definitely very chaotic in a sense, this is just too much chaos, and it's not in a good way. Feels like there's just way too much going on in some of these songs, and there's some like very weird moments that they have that just don't fit in. They kind of feel like they were there to kind of be weird, and it just doesn't work really in a lot of these songs. The really weak part besides the production is actually the vocal work on here. Keith Buckley just doesn't really do well here. He kind of sounds like other vocalists at the time. His screams are very, very harsh. His clean vocals aren't very, very well done. You can definitely kind of hear he doesn't really have great control over his voice on this album. And because of those issues, a lot of the songs kind of mesh together and sound the same on this album. And it's kind of hard to listen to because of that, because it's so heavy and it's so harsh. It's heavy not in a great way. It really doesn't feel the way we would expect it to from this band. Now the song they released called Logic of Crocodiles, which they released a video for, that song actually kind of stands out on this album. It is a lot of fun to listen to. That one, they has this nice guitar riff going on throughout it. It's chaotic, but the chaos, it feels controlled. Feels kind of like a mathcore song. It feels something like Converge might do, but in a good way. And it's definitely the standout track on here, so I'm glad that it was released as the video for this album, because the rest of it doesn't fare too well. The screaming just gets on your nerves over time. The clean vocals don't really convey the emotion that you would expect from it. It's kind of just all over the place, and Last Night in Town just not a great start for the band. If you like Every Time I Die, or if you are looking to get into the band, I would not recommend starting with this album. It definitely takes some easing into. You kind of have to prepare yourself. It's not terrible, and it's definitely a product of its time. At that time, 2001, the scene kind of saw a breakout of a lot of these bands that took mathcore roots from bands like Converge and started to incorporate some post-hardcore melodic stuff into that. And that's kind of finding yourself time. It's a time when a lot of bands were kind of discovering who they are as a band, and this album just feels like that kind of exploration here, and it just doesn't do great. Unfortunately, it misses any targets it's trying to hit, much in the same way as I mentioned Norma Jean's first album did. They're very similar in the sense of how heavy they are compared to what the bands became, and just the very, very rough vocal work and the production on is what kind of brings this album down. Thank you so much for watching the video. This was part 1 of the Every Time I Die series, and next time we're going to be taking a look at their follow-up, their kind of breakout album called Hot Damn, which came out in 2004. If you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more.